Good evening and welcome everybody. Sorry, it looks like it's messing this. All right. Good evening and welcome everybody. Sorry about that mess up. It's just starting to get my first scheduled stream happening and had a bit of a hiccup. So tonight I'm going to do some live stream playthroughs of some of the various activities in a software program called GCompris. An example of this is it's an educational activity where we get to match the items, say for the light bulb to the light, the postcard to the post box, and the ship to the ship. And then we go on to some other items. Now, this program is aimed at children from 2 to 10, and it does have a variety of activities up to things like playing chess. And I'll get back out of that. So I'll just cover why we're here. The videos that I've been making have been good for people that are very beginners to English, but I wanted to try and see if I could speed things along. And I thought what better to do this than to run through a demonstration run of someone working in the role of a software tester and going through the activities here. So what I ended up doing was to make a fictional scenario. So the situation is that the local education department are after a program to add to their software list. They've shortlisted this program and have asked a fictional software testing company I've created for the purposes of the channel to conduct an independent assessment and help them decide. So they've had a few teachers use it, and some of the students have gone okay, but they're actually saying, well, we're going to spend a bit of money, give it to some software testers who do this stuff day in, day out, and see if we promote it to everyone, if they can find anything that might look bad for us. So there's about over 100 activities in there. It's aimed at children 2 to 10, and it can be run on Windows, Android, Linux, Mac, and Raspberry Pi 3. There was a special build made for Raspberry Pi 3, which I think's got a bit lower hardware than the current Raspberry Pi 4. And it's Raspberry Pi is a very cheap single board computer. If you have a look on the channel for single board computer, there'll be a picture of a Raspberry Pi there. So you don't need an expensive computer to run GCompris. So they've given us 1 week to examine the software and write a report whether it would be suitable. So I'm going to put it under the microscope and have a look at things. As for the scope of what they want me to go through, although you can choose what language you want to play the game in, and there's a lot of them, we're going to just test it in English. And there's also security testing. Not going to worry about any of this. Not going to try and check it for any vulnerabilities, any code or anything like that. We just want to find out if that I don't give them activities and then plan a lesson for it, that it won't fail spectacularly. And pretty much that it says what it does on the box. So I missed out on this section. Although it's all of the software should be examined, the testing should be geared towards the items that were recently in the new release. So version 3 just been released earlier this year with some new activities. And there also was, they're saying I should gear it towards some of the younger learners as well. And I'll come back to that later. So I've downloaded the latest version 3.1, and I used my prior knowledge for testing to examine the software and activities and their help on within the program. So deliverables. The company, well, I will be making up a fictional report, but realistic, and detailing what was done and the issues found, and then provide a report of the overall summary. So I'm going to swap over to that now. So I've taken a document template from the United States Department of Defense, something very old, MIL Standard 498. All of the software development programs, all of the different companies were making documentation, giving it to the Department of Defense in their own standard. It was getting a bit hard to follow everything along. So the Department of Defense said, this is the standard that we want it for from now. Everybody gives us the same sort of documentation, and here's the format that we want. So if you look at the text there, the text should say what goes on in each paragraph. So an overall assessment of the software tested and a summary of that. So, and then some of the detailed test results. I'm pretty sure from this activity there's going to be some bugs found, some suggestions, and I'm actually going to feed that back into the open source project. So all the paragraphs there, given the time constraint, given there's about 180 activities and there's only a week of about 40 hours to do this, it's not going to be very detailed. It's effectively going to be, I'm going to run each activity, and here's pretty much what I think. There's going to be associated videos for that on the stream, on the channel, but I'm also going to have a table on the test log saying whether each activity as part of the program was done and whether there was a pass-fail. We've already found one of the anomalies in the program so far. I'll go back and test that later, but it's there's a video up already on the stream. I'll get back to that when I go into the program. So back to the project brief. The points of contact for the company and the department will have day-to-day contact to report any issues. If it's going to be a 1 week long contract, you don't want whoever's doing it to get 4 days in and say, oh yeah, we couldn't even build the program, we haven't ran anything, and then they hand you the bill and say, what's that? So what I'm going to do associated with that as well is do a equivalent of a daily status report for an agile software development team. So this is a board similar to a Scrum board where we've got activities in the to-do pile, where there would just be one to-do pile normally, and I've split them out into activities that can be done within the program and the other things that I want to cover as well. So these are testing terms that I want to cover off as well. Things like what exploratory testing is, where someone looks through a program and they start doing testing with a general idea of what they're going to do, and then they feed the testing back. It doesn't have specific explicit test cases. So you might have someone where it's testing to make sure that people are over 18, and you might say, for the first one, create a new account, tell the computer that someone's 17 and should fail with expected explicit tests like that, or a test that someone is the age of 19 and that they get let through. Exploratory testing, it's feeding the tester what they see with the program and then feeds back into other things. And that's usually time boxed. So there might be a 2-hour test of a new build focusing on new features and activities. And then another example of debugging where a bug has been found by a tester, but the debugging is the developer actually going through the code and trying to figure out what the underlying issue that's creating it is. So I might come back to that one later. So I mentioned earlier as well that I found an anomaly. So I'll kick in to try and find that. So here we have a picture with a whole bunch of rectangles, and as we move the mouse over them, they disappear. But if I quickly move the mouse over and then come back, so then the mouse doesn't, then this doesn't disappear. Whereas if I just put it over here and wait, it'll disappear. You'll hear it disappear. If I quickly flick it over to one and then come back, then it'll stay there. So it wasn't quite what I expected. What I would expect was that this would disappear over time, but all the person has to do is then take the mouse off, take the mouse off it, put it back over it, and it'll disappear. So even if they get a little bit sidetracked or hindered, the person will be able to complete the activity. And given that it's just meant to be something like hand-to-eye coordination, moving the mouse around, it's not a big thing. It's not like someone's going to not be able to save a document and they've put in 4 hours of work, or it's corrupted a save file irrevocably until it gets reloaded again. So I'm going to note it and then press on to other things. So what I'm looking to do now is to go back to the board and then pick some items and then go through to it on the stream. And then I'll read and match the chat and see if anyone's got any requests about if they want me to do something particular. So maybe particularly by vocabulary, there's a game of Hangman. So I might guess the letters. I think I know what this is. Right. Yeah, originally thought it was going to be Prince or Soldier, but now it's Knight. So I also mentioned in the pinned comment that there's a delay of about 20 seconds. And the reason for this is that there's a setting on YouTube that lets me enable live captions, and there's an extra delay in there. For future settings, I can go to a different latency setting for ultra latency, where it tries to resend out things as soon as possible, but there won't be any captions for that. And if anyone brings it up, I'm happy to do whatever. Also, if you're watching this and you haven't, you're not able to watch it live or similar, I'm more than happy to look at all of the comments and take any feedback. So I'll do another Hangman. And it looks very similar to Knight, and we've got Queen. So the royal, the king and the queen is head of the royal family. So go one last one, and it looks like there's alphabet. And there's a whole bunch of areas to go through. If you look up, there's a whole lot of, there's 12 words through this one, so it might be colors. Yep, so let's try red. And then there's other ones as well, but given there's 51 words there, 42 words there, and a whole bunch, so there's like to be about maybe 400 words in the total. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get through all of them, so I might just say he's 15 minutes playing, and if it crashes, but if you can make some guesses right or wrong and see whether it crashes out earlier, because if it doesn't crash for me, odds are it's not going to crash for a student if they're looking at it. So I'll bring the task board back over, and yeah, let's move the controller hosepipe in there, because one of the things with the Scrum board is that you can go into the tasks and do things like edit as well, and change who it's assigned to, add some comments to it. And so someone might, if you're working as a team, people might say, hey, look, there's some musical activities in there, and they might effectively call dibs and assign them to themselves. Or they might also say, there's a chess game here, no good at it, nothing, yeah, I don't want to do it. But you could also have a team leader who might be deciding who's doing what, and maybe their decision is final. So I'll put that over to in progress, and then off we go to control the hosepipe. So this game is a coordination game. The fireman needs to stop the fire, but the hose is blocked. And we've got to move the mouse with, or your finger if you're on a tablet, over the lock, which represents the red part of the hosepipe. It'll move it, bringing it to the fire. And if you move off, then the lock will go backwards. So that's unusual. Looks like we've got another anomaly in that it hasn't redrawn correctly after the help. I'm just going over to the board and making an edit. Going into the help and going back out of the screen, not redraw correctly. So just back out of that and then come back over to the screen. All right, so let's try. All right, well, let's go out of that, go back in. Now it looks like I might have to restart the program entirely to get it going, which is not going to happen on stream because it's a bit finicky to get set up. So I'm going to try something else. And let's try something very different. Yeah, missing letter sounds good. No, okay. It looks like it's going to have to be, I'm going to have to defer this one. Actually, I am getting, I've got a window off screen that I am getting an error message saying it's a flow line is giving me a type error. So I'm not exactly sure what that means, but anyway. Controller hose pipe is off the table at the moment. So I'm going back to the screen and yeah, I'll bring that back into the screen. I'm going to move that one into follow-up required C nodes. Earlier in the day, I did another one of move the mouse and touch the screen and found the anomaly that I demonstrated earlier in the stream. I've made a note of that into the software test report. So I'm moving that out of done because it had something to do until defer that until later. And I'm moving this one into, so I'll write up the software test report and investigate that a bit further. But at the moment, I'll be going over to mining for gold. And I'm dragging that into in progress now. So this status board, if it was digital and the whole team had access to it, we could see and refresh it at any time what's there. So if you had a sharp team that was on, and you might have people estimate what each task would be, because this is going to be a relatively small one, whereas like the word vocabulary missing letters would be much longer if you were estimating beforehand. Then you could say, I'm just about to leave for the day, I want to knock one last one off. They could say, right, here's a small one, we'll go for it. And assign it to themselves earlier in the day so someone else would know to stay away from it and get it put into progress and done as things go along. And the test manager could go and look, see where everyone's at and see things moving across the board. So find the sparkle and zoom in around it. If you have a mouse, point the cursor on the sparkle and then use the scroll wheel. If you have a trackpad, point the cursor and then drag on one finger to the right area, two fingers to the center. On the touch area, drag two fingers away from the sparkle, one in each direction. So this is teaching people effectively to zoom in on particular areas. Now you see it and then click on it. So I've got to zoom back out, find another area. So I've got a bit of sparkle there. Zoom in enough and I can see the nugget. Now I've got two of those. So we've finished the first section. Now I've got four more bits of gold to find for this one. And here we go. And the last one. And zoom back out. So we should complete the level now. Then we're on to level 3 with 10. I'm going to play through the whole lot and speed things up a bit with the mouse. I've got a gaming mouse, so I can set it to only scroll a section each time I move it, or I can let it free spin. I'll just put it over to free spin so I can zoom in and out far quickly. Six found, 4 to go. And we've got all 10 up now. There was one of the bugs I found in an earlier version of this. So I'll just try and demonstrate. If I clicked on it really, really fast, it'd increase every time I double clicked on it, but before it disappeared. So I could find 4 out of 2 that I needed to find and still have 1 more to find. So I'll just go back to check the help. Let's use the mouse wheel and the pinch gesture. You can see the sparkle. Use the mouse wheel to zoom in. When you reach maximum zoom, a nugget will appear. Click and collect. After collecting, zoom out and another nugget will appear. Collect enough nuggets to complete the level. And the wagon telling you how many you've collected and the total number to collect. Looks all good to me. So this one, I'm going to go back to the board, move it to done. And that way when I can later on go look at the software test report and know that I can just say, yes, we've done it, now I passed it, and then move straight on to the next thing. So the next one, I'm going to go with a penalty kick. Double tap or double click on the side of the goal you want the ball to go into. So here we've got the visual prompt of 2 click on the mouse. Okay, so it also looks like we've got a little cursor here. So I'm going to do it very slow. Single click, no, red hasn't worked, so it's giving me a little click on it, and then, yeah, no. So I'm pretty sure as the levels go up, green, yep. Actually, I'm going to fail it several times and just see. So it goes to tux and it comes back. Okay. All right, so I'm going to try and pass every single time. And I'm just going to hit it with normal double click speed. And see how we go. Well, it's getting a bit red, but still good enough. And we've flipped back around to number 1. So we've got a prompt as soon as we get to the first level that we don't really have to go into the help. Double click on the side, you can double click left, riddle, it doesn't matter which button you click on as long as you click the same one double fast enough. And you must click on it to bring it back to its initial position. Well, I'm going to fail that. Okay, and then click on the ball. Well, that's working exactly as I'd expect. I'm going to drag that one off to done. Over on the board, and I know there's one that is very simple. There we go, baby puzzle. Just go through the board at the moment. And drag it to in progress. So it looks like we've got a train that we can move around. But before I do that, I'm going to go into the help to assemble the baby puzzle, move a piece by dragging it, use the rotation button if necessary, and more complicated levels can be found in the tangram activity. Yep, okay, that makes sense. So bring the train over and it snaps in. So let's see how far away it snaps in. Yep, sounds good. So that's one of the carriage, and then there's the coal cart. Cleared the first level. Now I've got it in different order where the passengers right behind the engine, and then the coal cart, and then the other plates. Now we're on a bit of an angle. So I get to spin it round, but it doesn't take it as is. Let's see if I can try. No, it looks like it'll snap to one of the 8 directions or so. There we go. So they seem to be in 4 different directions. I don't remember this in the earlier versions, because it is still under active development. They're not just sitting around resting on their laurels. And I know it's going to get, it's getting a bit harder now. So aside from rotation, we've now got flip to change it from facing left to right. Then we've got the big one on the right now to match it up. And it's not there, so I'm going to have to flip that one as well. And you've got to flip all of them. So now I've got a truck instead of the train, and then the rear wheels and the cargo area. And straight away they're into giving us rotations, but I'm okay with that. And looks like I've also got to rotate and flip this one as well. And flip the front bumper, but the cargo container doesn't need anything else. And looks like they've jumbled everything up pretty well. If I remember right, this will be the last level. Yep, that's the right side, but I've got to flip the bumper section and the cargo section as well. No, not quite. We've got the front view of a car now. So the windscreen, and then I've got 2 different tires where the interior strut is noticeable as well, and then the headlights as well. And now back to the beginning. So that's a fairly quick one. Move that into done. I know left and right hands is going to be another simple one. So I'll move that into in progress. So yeah, I'll go into the help for this one. Determine if a hand shown is a right or a left hand. Distinguish right and left hands from different points of view. It's spatial representation. You can see a hand, is it a left or a right hand? Click on the left button or the right button, depending on what hand is there. And you can press left or right arrow, okay, to use a keyboard. So I'm going to do that. Press the right button, it's a right hand. That one's a left hand, but I'm going to press the right hand just to make it, get it wrong deliberately. And same thing, I'll get one deliberately wrong. Now that's the underside of a left hand. It's the underside of a right hand, so I'm going to get that as well. So now we're going to see it by different points. And so we've got right hand, and then that's a left hand. So we're going to see the hands curled up into a fist later. And left. And right. And right. That's, yeah, looking from the underside. So right, left, left, right. I don't think it's following a set pattern. We have left, right, and right, left, and left, and then right. Don't know if there's a 5th level. Yep, there's a 5th level. So going back to the keyboard, so left hand, right hand, left, right, left, right, and right. Level 6, so it looks like we're doing closed, upside down, everything. And left hand, and that one's a right hand as well. So now we're back to the beginning. And that looks like a pass to me. So just updating the status board off the screen. I'll stick with the ones earlier. So going into the help section. So yeah, we've got ages from 2 to 10. There's a few icons. The home is an exit activity. We'll go back to the menu or the escape key. Arrows display the current level. Click to select another level. So that were the numbers down the bottom. We went to 6 last time. Lips repeat the question. Question mark help. Reload, start the activity from the beginning again. Let's try that with fire. See if that. No, there's no keyboard shortcut for that one. Tool, the configuration menu, 3 lines, the activity settings menu. G is about GCompris and then quit. So the stars, so the suitable age group for each activity, whether it's 1, 2, or 3 yellow stars from 2 to 6, and 1, 2, 3 red stars from 7 and up. So the scenario I'm going with from the Department of Education is that they want me to focus on the 1, 2, or 3 yellow stars. We'd rather at the end of the week you can complete all of those and then complete some of the red stars, rather than do a bit of everything and then find out. At least then that way they'd know that can be used for some of the earlier education and get some of the kids starting to use computers earlier. And there's also some keyboard shortcuts, which I won't worry about. So one of the things I will duck into as a bit of the program is so there is the enable audio voices, and you can enable audio effects. So if you get the win condition, you might get a Homer Simpson voice like going woohoo. I think that's depending on what language you select. So as I said, it's not just English you could set it to, in which case I'll try sending it to that'll do. So I'm downloading new voices for it, and I think it's new menu setting. If I hit background, I could go off and have done an activity if the internet connection was fairly slow and still play. So if I go back, let's go and no, that won't. Let's go into some of the vocabulary. Yeah, so now we've got, pretty sure it's German words rather than English ones as well. So it can be used to learn things other than English, but as I said, that's outside scope. So let's go back and change it to my default setting. And there's background music you can get going as well. You can choose whether the virtual keyboard's displayed or not. And the next one I'll go to, I'll show the certainly should highlight the virtual keyboard. So based on that, I don't know if, yeah, it's on numbers. Okay, so I'll pull in numbers with dice. I'll just change it on the activity board. Drag numbers with dice into do. And some of the, depending on what suite and similar you use, I'm just using one that is freely available with a free GitHub account. You can have ones where you can, like Microsoft Teams, I think it is, or Visual Studio Testing Services, where you can set how many hours in there, and it can keep track of how long people have spent on particular tasks based on whether they're in progress or similar. So numbers with dice. And then we've got the virtual keyboard down the bottom. It's only giving us 2 options at the moment, because early on into the screen, we've only got 2. So just with this one, we've got the brief of count the number of dots on the dice. And one of the things that's sticking with me is, well, how many numbers have we got on this dice here? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but I can't quite see 7. I know this is me being picky and it's not saying what's on the top of the dice, but it's something I'm going to note down and put into the job notes. I know there's an active job in the actual program for one of the future releases to change what is on the face of the top of it to be a digital representation. So instead of 3 dots like the 1, 2, 3, you can see the actual number 3. So also what I'm going to do now, let's see what happens if I just let them hit the ground. And yeah, I wasn't too sure if I'd get a sad face or not. It looks like they're just going to keep cycling through until I hit the correct numbers. Now we've got a new level. We've got 4 different options as well. So 4, 2, 4, 3. So I'm going to start blitzing this and swap over to the keyboard. No, the actual keyboard isn't going to do anything for me. Okay. Now I've got 5 different options. And 6. It'll get all the way up to 9. Actually, I'm pretty sure 0 is going to be included as well, so we're going to get all 10 digits available. I'm not sure if they're falling faster as well, so there we go. That's number 7, 6, and then I think there'll be 3 of everything. No, I've certainly had more than 3 7s now, so I might be biasing the larger numbers as we get onto it to the newer, which makes sense. But now we've only got a few different numbers, so there's no 3 or 4 on the keyboard, which is, I guess, fine, I guess, as long as that we don't see a 3 or a 4 drop. So now we've got 9. It's still missing some options like 7, but that's all right. That makes things go a bit faster. I'm not going to do the Dirty Harry thing. Is there 6 or is there 7? Oh, well, I think pretty sure Dirty Harry was 5 or 6, but so now looks like we've got almost all the options, but yeah, if there's no 9, that's all right, as long as I can have the 0. And we cover each of the numbers in each of the possible iterations, if that makes sense. So as long as I'm not too worried that there's no 9 in the last one, as long as it's guaranteed or likely to happen in the early ones, You're going to come across it at least once. Nearly there. And doing a full wrap. So we'll go back to the help. Yeah, type the number of dots you see on each of the falling dice. Yeah, in a limited time, count the number of dots. No, I'm not going to. Aside from, I'm not going to pick. Not going to comment about the limit of time, but I'm going to say about the number of dots. Just putting that into the notes here. And now that's in the follow-up. So following on from that, I'm going to go to the pull the one in numbers with Dominos, because if I remember right, so we've got exactly the same thing with Dominos instead, but because we're looking straight down towards the top of the domino, there's no possibility for confusion. So if they were going to do it and use one, I'd say recommend use the Dominos. You're welcome to use the dice if you want, but you might get some questions from the kids. So let's go into that one. Dominos, this is new. Okay, let's go into that. So we got the Arabic numbers. So 1, 1, which gives us a total of 2. 1, 1, and 2. Right, so let's go into Roman numbers, Roman numerals. So we've got 1 and then 2. Let's finish the whole level before going to the next one. And what's the last one? So images. Okay. We got butterflies instead. Which might be a bit hard to see. It can't be any worse than dots, I guess. 1, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. Right, and then swap back to dots. I'm going to skip ahead to, the total, and just do that one. So 24 falling dominoes, 7, 9, and 8. I'm going to let this one fall all the way, see if it gives us a different. Or does it just spin around and that's 9 and 7. Had to count that one up in my head. Finishing off, I think, with 0. So back around to the first one. So yeah, numbers with dominoes taken care of. I'll kick it up a bit. Go into scales. So balancing the scales properly. Sorry, just updating the board to the right. Drag and drop some weights to balance the scales. To balance, move some weights to the left or the right side. And the weights can be arranged in any order. Okay. So all I need is something that's worth 1. Click OK, and yeah. Doesn't quite do it manually. Well, I'm gonna... No, well, let's see if I can... No, it's not letting me put 1 there, so I'll... balance up to 2, 20, 50, 100. Okay. All right. I'll skip into level 2. So we've got 2 there, and yeah, I'm disappointed it doesn't kick over to the next one automatically. Now I've got to guess the weight, so I'm gonna go big or go home. It's heavier than 3, so it looks like it's 2. Enter the weight of the gift. 2. Okay. 3's too heavy again, so it looks like it's just 1. Now I've got the numbers again. Must be bigger numbers, yeah. So this would be a good one to test using a black box testing technique of boundary value analysis. We might know what the weight of it is, and put one unit below it, put one a unit higher than it, and then make sure we get it right with its on one. So the unit's 3. So now we know it's telling us 3 this time. 4, I'll just put 2 2s on it. 3. Let's see how many we can put on here. I'm going to make a note of that, but that's yeah, I can't really expect it to really do anything else, but I'll just put it in as an observation. So putting too many weights on the scales, lots of small weights in brackets, have them go off the side of the scales and into thin air, but it still calculates correctly. It shouldn't be, I don't think it's going to be a problem if the puzzles are solved as designed. So in this case, well, it might be use 2 2s or a 1 and then 2 1s and a 2. So in this case, I'm thinking it's going to be heavy. No, it's too heavy. So it's 3. Let's see how many we're getting into. That's a lot of levels. So I'm just going to choose something random then. I'm not going to do it all. So related to this, there's something called exhaustive testing. So if I know that an 8 and a 5 matches it exactly, where you try, if you try and test every possible combination of every input and it's just not possible to do so. And let's try 5, 5, 8, and 2. So yeah, it's just sitting on the edge. And let's try, what is 9 and 8 gives you 17, 9 and 7 gives you 16. So yeah, it's going to have to sort of sit off to the side no matter what. 8, 3. I'll just straight up use an 8. 8, 7. And 9, 8. Uh, 15, 5. All right, so I'm going to jump ahead to the last level. Let's try big. Well, good. So it's more than 50, less than 79. Bingo. Matched exactly. So 60, whatevers. If we're using imperial measurements, it might be ounces or stone. If we're using standard, it could be kilograms or grams. Let's take that one off and 50, 65, 70, 80, 82. So it's less than 82. Let's drop that on. Still less than 82. Wait, heavier than. Between 82 and 89. I'm not sure if I've got to start figuring out every combination for this one. Yeah, I'm swinging and missing, just swinging all of them. 30, 30, 30, minus 5, 85. And I'm going to bail out of this one. It seems to be getting harder, but it looks to be right. We'll go with positions. Find the buoy's position in relation to the box. Describe the relative position of an object. You'll see different images representing a buoy in a box. You have to find the position of the buoy in relation to the box and select the correct answer. And okay, so the space arrows will navigate whether we'll do that. So I'll say under and then use the keyboard there. So they're inside it there. Okay, so I've got to hit OK. I'll use a combination of the mouse and space. So now they're beside. If someone's beside it, it's usually to the left or the right. Behind, we do have a specific answer of behind. Now they're in front of, relative to our viewing. Select the image where the child's in front of the box. Select where they're inside the box. Behind. They're beside. And above. And under. So behind now we've got different options of left and right rather than just beside. And inside. To the right. To the left. The child on the right of the box. Child on the left. Underneath. And in front. Above. Behind. And inside. Now we're back to the beginning. I'll go back out of that one. I'll go back out to the main screen. So I'll just touch on black box testing at the moment, and that is a test technique where we don't know what's going on for the software and components. We don't have access to the source code. We have just told, here's what it does, or here's what it should do. And we, from outside, execute the software or use the interfaces towards it, and then check the outputs to make sure that's what expected. If I was using this program for something that was given to me by a company like Microsoft, it was pre-compiled, or I might download it from an online provider and not have the source code, then that's what I'd be doing. The opposite of a black box test technique is a white box or clear box test technique, in which case we can view the source code, and then we can do things like instrument the source code and see whether, if I do a test run, whether that line of code gets executed. We could then see how much of the code base we've executed. If we haven't executed anything, as the test's deficient, or say maybe somehow there's some dead code in the program where no matter what the condition is, it just can't get to it. So there might be a first check for someone who's under 18. And then if they are under 18, we go to a bit more code. And then later on, we might check whether they're over 25. Well, we already know they're under 18 if we've gotten here. So, and commercial off the shelf, that's mass-produced software, or it's like an operating system, but for a personal computer, or even apps for phones. It's commercial, but if I needed to get some scientific machinery to do some specific reading, or have a program that I need customized, then that wouldn't be commercial off the shelf. And I'll look to do more of those, more presentations that relate to specific test terms later. I'll jump back into something else. And simplified tariff noise list looks good. Okay. Yep, that's got the board updated. And then, so using all of these components, sorry, build the same tower in the empty area as you see on the right hand side. So I can't move these items, but I've got these ones that are colored differently, and they've also got different shapes on them. So like a vertical pipe, less than symbol, percentage sign, exclamation mark. I guess that's one way to expose people to these symbols without knowing what they are. So for the help, to reproduce the given tower, you want someone who's familiar with mouse manipulation, and drag and drop one piece at a time. Okay. So the first thing's there is a pipe, so I'll drag that across, and a percentage sign. So I've got to move that across. I'll see if I can, yeah, I can't stack the towers too much, so I've got to try and plan anything. If I need something that's down here, then I might have to go digging. But that's right. And yeah, we'll end up going there. So whatever is on these 3 towers, we don't care what their order is at the end of this game. They can be anything. So I've got to do a bit of digging this time, but I can get used to that. And if I was trying to optimize, I could have been looking what I was pulling off. If I needed to, the purple one, I might have pushed it over to the side, but I'm not going to be able to play the game to that level of skill this late at night. Now we've got more towers, and we've getting some more components we've got to put on there. So percentage sign, left curly brace, star, and slash. No, that's not right. Slash and ampersand. Greater than symbol, ampersand, less than, forward slash, greater than, and then plus plus. Piece of cake. Easy. Plus tilde, but I can only grab one piece at a time. And I need another tilde. Hash, star, percent, equals, and finish off with an ampersand. Right curly brace, left curly brace. Yep, there's one up the top here. So some pluses. A hash, and then a forward slash. It's called a forward slash because regarding text, it's leaning forward. And we're back around. All right, so I'll drag this one over to done. And I think I'll wrap it up there. I will be looking to do dedicated presentations for some of those software testing terms and put them out onto the channel. I'll probably do them in flashcard format where we've got the word, there's a definition of them, and then I'll talk and expand a bit more about them. And I'll do some more behind the scenes. So tomorrow I'll be looking to do more of these, and I'll be uploading them to the channel without notifications, and do another live stream tomorrow night where I can answer any other general questions as well as anything related to this project. It is only going to go for a week. I do want to try something different with the aim of exposing people to a lot more, because I believe in the last hour I've given people sentences, a lot more introductions and words than just what I was doing with the normal stuff of the channel. I still want to do the other stuff as well, build on it, but I'm just realizing for someone to get a grasp of it, it's very slow. And I'll just touch on again, I'll be looking to do enough that people in the week, that if they did want to become software testers as a career path and become certified, then that should be quite enough to help them on the way. And if there are people, even if you're already familiar with English and you wanted to learn about a bit more about software engineering or testing, and feel free to jump in and ask questions in the channel. I'm more than happy to help out anybody. I'm not trying to push anything any further than what's already on the channel. I just it's just something I've been familiar with that I was hoping I could to get a bit more, and that going through and doing some things like playing some games, we could get two birds with one stone as well. And from what I remember, compared to the earlier versions, this looks like it's at least been given a facelift for the user interface as well. Even if you want me to, you're not too interested in the testing part of it, and you were after just for like general vocabulary, if people have requested I hop on and do a stream of this, then I'm realizing I'm saying a lot as well, and I'm happy to help out as well. So, but for right now, I think I'll finish up for the evening, try and get a good night's sleep, and see whatever I can bowl over tomorrow. And thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, comments, feedback, please leave it. Oh, and I forgot to mention as well, I've updated the homepage for the channel, where so that the playlist for these videos will be appearing up the top. So I'm not going to push out notifications to everyone, but if you did want to follow along through the day, revisit the channel page and the newest videos will be at the top. All right, thank you, and have a good night.